Melvin Harris served as an underboss for the Grove Street families up until CJ made his return to Los Santos. As many of us are now aware, his true intent was a lot more nefarious than it first appeared to be. Big Smoke sought to ultimately consolidate power in the Los Santos gang landscape by building an empire that extended across 2 states. But is Big Smoke really the outright villain and traitor that he is made out to be? Or was his plan actually ahead of its time? Let's take a look. Between the late 80s and early 90s, the criminal landscape in San Andreas was undergoing a paradigm shift. It seems Big Smoke had seen this coming and started to make moves to ensure that he'd be a paragon of this new brand of gangster. While Grove Street had its hands full dealing with infighting and rapidly decaying influence, Smoke spent most of his time cutting deals and acquiring contacts in the Russian mafia, Ballers, and the Los Santos Vagos, laying the groundwork for what was to come. The finale would suggest that Smoke grew to be too large for even Tenpenny to control, and it seemed that they tolerated one another, all while each secretly planned to undermine and take out the other when the opportune moment presented itself. In the end, CJ proved to be the catalyst that none really were able to account for or address in their plans, as they probably banked on him eventually succumbing to the many trials and enemies that he took on in the events of the game. Due to all of this, it's hard to know for sure if there was ever really a time where Big Smoke was truly loyal to Grove Street families. But as he has been with the gang for such a long time, we cannot completely rule out the possibility. Likewise, it's equally difficult to ascertain whether pressure from Tenpenny or just growing disenchantment with the gang's future led him to the path that he took. Perhaps it was a combination of these things, as well as ambition, that swelled within him. Either way, nothing can excuse his actions. Instead, we will try to understand them and find out if Big Smoke was indeed a cut-and-dry villain, a victim, or a visionary. Let's suspend our disbelief for the moment and imagine that the 3D and HD universes in Rockstar's games are actually connected. Fast forward to 2013, modern-day Los Santos, and I'm sure many fans of GTA San Andreas were quite surprised and maybe a little disappointed to see that the Ballers were once again the dominant force in Ganton, now known as Davis. What was left of GSF splintered yet again into smaller warring sets under the moniker of the Families. The Ballers are seemingly yet again one of the biggest gangs in Los Santos, but this is no mere coincidence. All throughout GTA San Andreas, we knew that they were the gang who embraced the narcotics scene the most, and with this came unprecedented power. As we mentioned before, the substance trade was the new wave that changed the landscape of San Andreas during this time period. And now we know that anyone who didn't ride this wave was crushed by its tide. We now also know that whether Smoke decided to betray the gang or not, the writing was on the wall for GSF regardless. But given Big Smoke's talent of diplomacy with so many factions, and his drive to reach the top, I can't help but wonder, what if things were a little different? Now, I know that this idea seems a little out there, but think about this. Big Smoke's approach to his opposition up until the moment CJ confronted him was always to resolve issues by forming salubrious alliances with other gang leaders. At the height of his power, he had worked with the Russian Mafia and the Loco Syndicate. He also managed to have both the Vagos and Ballers working for him. We can also make the argument that he was on fairly good terms with Crash, who, for the most part, probably allowed him to operate in exchange for a cut of the profits. Now, there aren't really any heroes in GTA, so in terms of his potential as a character, it's clear that Big Smoke was a criminal mastermind. A lot of parallels can be drawn between him and guys like Tony Montana and especially Nino Brown. But unlike the self-destructive path that these two iconic characters went down, it's undeniable that Big Smoke had more friends than enemies. He had a gift of a silver tongue and was very persuasive. He also clearly had a mind for big business and proved himself to be as autocratic as he was charismatic. In short, there is no debate that he is probably one of the most powerful antagonists to ever appear in a GTA game. And had he not been stopped by CJ, it's disconcerting to think just how far he could have gone. But what do you guys think? What do you think would happen if Big Smoke somehow managed to survive the siege on his stronghold? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How differently do you think that GTA 5's story and world would be if Smoke was somehow still at the top of the gang landscape all this time? Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this discussion. Thank you for watching. Until next time.